Imagine a hidden chapter of history that connects the mountains of Ethiopia with the ancient land of Israel. A story of survival, faith, and resilience spanning millennia. This is the story of Beta Israel, the Ethiopian Jews, who claim descent from one of Israel's lost tribes. They lived in isolation for centuries, faithfully preserving their Jewish heritage against all odds. And today, many of them have made it back to the land of Israel, after enduring unimaginable hardship and holding on to a dream that seemed, at times, nearly impossible. Join me as we trace this incredible journey, beginning from biblical times and stretching all the way to the modern-day nation of Israel. We'll explore the prophecies they clung to, the stories they passed down, and the struggles they faced. This is a journey through time, and it's one of the most remarkable stories of faith you'll ever hear. Our story begins in the Bible, in ancient Israel, during the reign of King Solomon's successors. After Solomon's death, his vast kingdom split into two: the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. 10 tribes, including the tribe of Dan, remained in the north, and they were vulnerable. In 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 6, we read about the Assyrian Empire's conquest of the northern kingdom, an event that led to the scattering of these 10 tribes. It's written in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and carried Israel away to Assyria. This marked the start of what we call the lost tribes. The Assyrians exiled thousands from Israel, sending them into distant lands. Now imagine this scene. Families are ripped apart, entire communities uprooted. Some scholars believe that members of the tribe of Dan, among others, fled southward, avoiding captivity by journeying into Egypt and beyond. Some traveled by foot, others by boat, always moving further and further from their home. And according to many accounts, they settled in Ethiopia, where they formed the foundation of what would become Beta Israel. As the ancient Israelites traveled through Africa, they found themselves in a place of breathtaking beauty, Ethiopia. Here, surrounded by mountains and valleys, they settled, determined to preserve their heritage and faith. But this wasn't a gentle transition. Life as foreigners wasn't easy. The land was unfamiliar, the customs different, and the people wary of these newcomers with their unique rituals and traditions. For centuries, the Jewish Ethiopians lived separately from the majority Christian population, practicing their faith in isolation. They became known as the Falashas, meaning outsiders or strangers. But in their hearts, they were Beta Israel, the house of Israel, and they clung tightly to their ancient traditions. With no access to the Talmud, their religious life was rooted in the Torah alone. This meant that Beta Israel observed Sabbath, kashrut dietary laws, and festivals directly from the teachings of Moses. Imagine generations growing up with the same Torah scrolls, handwritten and cherished, passed down from father to son, mother to daughter. Beyond the historical exile, Ethiopian tradition brings a fascinating twist. According to Ethiopian lore, the origins of their Jewish community lie in the story of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. In 1 Kings 10, we read how the Queen of Sheba traveled to Jerusalem to test Solomon's wisdom. Ethiopian legend, recorded in the Keber Nagast, claims that she bore Solomon a son, Menelik, who became the first Ethiopian emperor. According to this tale, Menelik returned to Ethiopia with a group of Israelites, and some even believe he brought with him the Ark of the Covenant. Could this be the link that brought the tribe of Dan into Ethiopia? It's difficult to verify, but one thing is certain: the Beta Israel community viewed themselves as guardians of Israel's ancient traditions, protectors of a lineage that connected them to the very heart of Jerusalem. They believed they were fulfilling God's purpose by keeping the ancient faith alive. Beta Israel lived in seclusion, often regarded with suspicion. Their villages dotted the northern and northwestern regions of Ethiopia, where they worked as farmers, blacksmiths, and artisans. And though the world seemed to have forgotten them, they kept their customs alive. Imagine for a moment what this isolation meant. For more than 1,000 years, Beta Israel practiced Judaism without rabbinic traditions, without synagogues like we see today. Instead, they had skid houses of worship where they gathered for prayer, study, and celebration. Their priests, called Kohanim, led them in prayers and sacrifices, similar to the priests of ancient Israel. While European Jews developed the Talmud and rabbinical interpretations, Beta Israel relied solely on their understanding of the Torah. They didn't observe later Jewish holidays like Hanukkah because they had no knowledge of events beyond the Old Testament. Their faith became a unique blend of ancient practices, some nearly identical to those described in the Bible. But this isolation also brought hardship. Ethiopian society viewed Beta Israel as outcasts, often blaming them for misfortunes. They faced discrimination and, at times, violence. Yet they never wavered. Their faith was their anchor, their survival strategy. Like the Israelites of old, Beta Israel carried within them a deep-seated hope. They longed for Zion. Even in their isolation, they clung to the words of the prophets. Isaiah's promise resonated. He will raise a signal for the nations and will assemble the banished of Israel and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12. They dreamed of Jerusalem, not just as a physical place, but as a spiritual home. Beta Israel sang songs of Zion, passed down stories of return, and instilled in their children the belief that one day they would reunite with the people of Israel. Every prayer, every Sabbath, every meal they prepared in accordance with the Torah was a reminder of who they were and where they longed to be. In the 19th century, their dreams inspired small groups to attempt the journey to Israel. The path was treacherous, and many perished along the way. Yet these attempts only solidified their determination. Each failed journey was a reminder of how deeply Zion lived in their hearts. The modern world became aware of Beta Israel in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. European travelers, scholars, and Jewish leaders were astonished to discover an entire community in Ethiopia practicing Judaism. Stories of the lost tribe of Israel circulated widely, sparking debates within Jewish communities and synagogues. But it wasn't until the 20th century that real steps were taken. In 1923, Ethiopian Jews began to connect with Jewish communities beyond their borders. They established schools and sent representatives to learn Hebrew and other aspects of modern Judaism. For the first time, Beta Israel felt a bridge was being built between them and the rest of the Jewish world. This was the beginning of their dream coming true. A milestone moment came in 1973. Israel's chief rabbi formally recognized Beta Israel as Jews according to Halakha, Jewish law. This decision was monumental. It meant that Beta Israel had the right of return, to make Aliyah, to join the people of Israel in the land of their ancestors. But political challenges in Ethiopia and economic barriers made this dream hard to realize. In 1977, tragedy struck. An Israeli plane was shot down over Ethiopia, escalating tensions and drawing attention to the plight of Ethiopian Jews. But this painful event ultimately led to greater efforts to bring Beta Israel to safety. In 1984, Israel launched Operation Moses, a clandestine mission to rescue Ethiopian Jews. Thousands of Beta Israel traveled across harsh deserts to reach Sudan, where they were gathered in refugee camps. From there, Israeli planes transported them to Israel. It was a mission fraught with danger. When news leaked, Sudan shut down the operation, leaving many stranded. In 1991, a second mission, Operation Solomon, rescued over 14,000 Beta Israel in a dramatic 36-hour airlift. Imagine entire families boarding planes, carrying little but their faith. It was a scene that seemed straight out of the book of Exodus, as Beta Israel finally made their way to the land of Israel. Jeremiah's prophecy came to life. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the ends of the earth. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 8. Returning to Israel was a dream fulfilled, but it also brought new challenges. The transition from rural Ethiopian villages to Israel's bustling cities wasn't easy. Beta Israel faced cultural differences, discrimination, and economic hardship. But just as the Israelites faced trials in the wilderness, Beta Israel persevered. Many Ethiopian Jews joined the Israeli Defense Forces, contributing to the nation's defense and society. Others became doctors, educators, and public leaders, determined to build a future that honored both their Ethiopian heritage and their identity as Jews. Today, Beta Israel continues to thrive, carrying on the legacy of the ancient Israelites. Their story reminds us of the unbreakable connection between faith, identity, and the promise of return. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the incredible story of Beta Israel. If this story moved you, or if you learned something new, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you find most surprising about Beta Israel's history? And don't forget to share this video with others who might be fascinated by these lost chapters of faith and resilience. We'll be diving into stories of other lost tribes of Israel in upcoming videos, uncovering more hidden connections and ancient paths across the world. So hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss any future uploads. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.